What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Half-Assed Garage. So today we're just going to try to figure out what's up with this 4-liter and why might the oil pan be off of it. So I've got my Boroscope out. We're going to look down on those cylinders and see if there's any carnage in it. I did pressure wash inside the Jeep, so it's a little windy out there or out here. I pressure washed the cross member. That thing was covered in gross slime. It looks pretty good in here now. I used a can of degreaser on it and a bunch of simple green and then just pressure washed it. That stuff under there, I don't know if it's undercoating or if it's just grease and grime, but that doesn't want to come off anymore. And so that is it. Alright, I thought that you might want to see the state of what we have here. This is the beast. Looks like we got a tire. I haven't even looked at this thing in a long time. So, there's no telling what type of critters are now calling this home. So we're just gonna try not to get attacked. And look at that. What an amazing... Oh, well, is something still in there? Don't know. Well, this isn't an ideal place for this with all the moisture around here and stuff. Let's try not to be, let's try not to be eaten by whatever rabid animal is in there. Let's get a stick. Okay, we have a stick. Let's go in. Scared you, right? So, what is that? What kind of hair is that? There's a ton of hair there. What on earth? It doesn't... I mean, I would have expected that because they could have chewed that up. But what in the world would have made a nest full of hair, and where would they have gotten all of this hair? The hell kind of crazy stuff is this? I don't know. That's weird. I'm glad I'm using a stick. Sorry about the wind. Something was gnawing at my strap. So, we've evaded being attacked by monsters. Thought I heard something. Because I'm sure that there's critters out here. I know that there's a big groundhog that lives over in there. He's been here for 20-something years, or their family, whatever it is. We call him Pudge. He comes out here. That's kind of why I don't do a lot in this area. I don't want to disturb him a ton. There's the stall door because, as I said, this was a horse barn. There's the doors for the Ram over there. Axle for the XJ. And then this, hopefully, will be our new motor. And these straps, interestingly enough, the guy that had this before, not the guy that originally had it, but the dude that was storing this engine, he worked for a company that transported the big wind turbines. So these straps are what they use to strap down the big huge props or I guess they're called, I guess they'd be propellers, right? The big wind turbine things, the props. So these are what are used, apparently, according to him, in the transportation of wind turbine blades. So, probably not going to take this thing in tonight. I don't feel like getting into this thing completely, but I would like to see if I can get one of these bolts off. Yep. Okay, so I'll throw the chain on here tomorrow, stick it on here somewhere. I don't remember where I put the other one. Over there. So I'll grab onto that tomorrow when you're not in my hand, because I can't really do anything with this one-handed. But yeah, well, so we'll get this thing in here tomorrow when I have more time to work on it, and we'll see then what we got. But I figured you might want to take a look at the beast, with all the beasts that are living in it, apparently. There we go. And that's kind of it. So we'll bring that in there tomorrow. We'll take a look at it. Hopefully it's in better shape. Shouldn't be too hard to stick it on in there. Hopefully. I know the radiator's wasted. Trans cooler's shot. I really don't know if it can be saved without a bunch of work in it. But who knows? Might be able to get it running just enough to kind of bomb around the yard and have some fun. We'll just have to see how many things are wrong with it. You probably saw in the other video that the oil cooler was totally busted. Radiator looks pretty shot. Some of the hoses and lines in it are a little funky, but I don't think I don't know. We'll just have to see. I did find some rust on the, I guess, the floor over here underneath. So I'll show you that at some point, but it looks like it'll be relatively easy to cut that out and patch it. It's not super bad, but it's through. If you'll remember, I had that gross, what is it, like that nest here, and I figured out what that nest was. I don't know if it's in the other video or not, but on the pallet right next to here there was a dead possum. So the mice apparently got into this dead possum and carried all of its fur up in here and made that big nest, and that was friggin' gross. So yuck. I used some Clorox cleanup right there, sprayed it all down. I power washed or pressure washed it with Simple Green, and that got some of the grease off of it. And then I hosed it down with the bleach, because I don't know what kind of gross stuff would potentially be in a dead possum's fur that mice would have made a nest in. So pretty gross. So anyway, that's what I did. I'm looking forward to getting these springs on. That should be cool. I'm getting kind of excited to tear into that and see exactly what happened with it. If you remember the little Borescope cam, it looked like maybe there was a hole in one of the pistons. We'll figure that out once we take the head off. Hey everybody, sorry about that. I seem to have lost some audio, so I'm going to narrate over the top of the Borescope images. This is cylinder number 6, farthest back towards the firewall. There's still some crosshatch on the cylinders, which is a pretty good sign so far. Piston looks pretty good. Pretty okay for a blown engine. Next cylinder, I believe, cylinder number 5. Kind of looking rough. I don't know if that's damage on the left side, but the cylinder wall is kind of scored up. So not great to see that. Yeah, so that one might need a sleeve. I don't know. Next piston, not bad. A little bit of scoring on the wall. I don't know if that's a chunk of something. I don't know what the lettering and numbering is on it. That might be a replacement piston, or maybe that's factory. I'm not entirely sure. I've never had one of these 4 liters apart before. Next cylinder looks like you'd expect a cylinder to look like. Carbon on the piston looks good. This one, I don't know, that thing on the left to me looks like a burn hole, like it's melted through. So, not great. It could be something funky with the camera. Something fell in there and it just looks weird, but it looks like a hole to me. This next cylinder is ultra clean, like a steam cleaner came in, so that might be a head gasket issue that like cleans those pistons like that. So the valve on this cylinder is open. You can see it on the left. It doesn't look like there's any damage, but yeah, usually when they clean up like that, a lot of times it's due to head gaskets. It just burns the coolant and steams the whole cylinder clean. This is the next cylinder over, so this one looks really clean too, so potentially potentially a bad head gasket on that. And I think this next cylinder here, yeah, looks pretty normal, like what you'd expect. Carboned up, that type of thing. So yeah, it doesn't look great, the Borescope stuff. Definitely some problems in there that we'll have to address, so that's a bummer. Get the springs on, unload my car. I've still got the transmission in it from way back because the D150 is partially on hold right now because the machine shop where my buddy owns that machine shop, he is just slammed, and this COVID thing is making it really difficult to get any work done. So that's where we're at on the D150. So we're going to pick away on the springs and the different little things that we can do here until I can get back at the engine. So that's it. So we'll get the 4 liter up on here, then we'll start doing the springs. I'll clean this place up again, and then we're in business. Got my new shirt, got my Junkyard Dig shirt finally. I've got my Thunderhead shirt in the house. I'll wear that another day, so these are my cool working shirts out in the shop. That's it, so let's get to it. Okay, I'm dirty, sweaty, and I got the trans off of this one. So this is the bad engine, which we're going to stick on here and look at as soon as I can get around to doing it. That trans is probably good. I mean, you saw the fluid that came out of it, looked fine. I would imagine the torque converter is good. Here are my other 2 transmissions that I have. These are given to me with the truck. So these both have the transfer cases on it and everything. As you can see, this one was the filthiest one of the pair. It was just covered in grease, so I used a whole can of degreaser. You can kind of see some of the aftermath. The dipsticks were rusty, but I did try to clean them a little bit. That one you can see a little bit better kind of how it was. The fluid in them is light. I don't know, it doesn't smell burnt in either one of them, but the fluid is, this one's a little bit brighter, a little bit more red. So I don't know I have no information or history on any of this stuff. Nothing at all other than it's a Jeep and these are parts to it. That's it. So it's kind of a crapshoot as to which one to use. This one probably, I don't know what they obviously burnt it off the truck. These are the E12 holes. So on these transmissions, I will show you, they use this bolt, which is a reverse Torx. It's an E12. So that's where these 2 go. Right here and right there. Those are the E12s that you need to, you have to have the right sockets. I just got some Harbor Freight ones because they were 13 bucks. That's what you need in order to remove those top bolts on the transmissions for these Jeeps. As far as I know, there aren't any other e-sockets, you know, external torque stuff on these. So anyway, it looks like somebody didn't have the right socket, so they burned it off, melted through the bell housing. So that one will probably get a bell housing regardless, but you can see kind of how grungy it is. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if the grease on it would mean that it's in worse shape or better shape. I have really no idea on if there's a way to test any of this stuff. I don't think so. But I'll probably go with that one, even though the linkages, well, they both look about the same now that I've cleaned it. They both look about equally rusty. Who knows? I'll probably just go with that one. I'm out of degreaser, so I can't do any more. The shafts both look fine. So I'll probably just go with that one and see. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least I've got another one. Pull the drive shaft off, stick it on there, slam it on in the truck. This one I guess I'll just hang on to. Clean up this flywheel some. Looks like I bent the fan a little bit, dragging it around. Or no, I'm sorry, this one was already bent up like that. I think I bent, well, maybe I didn't. So this one's good. We'll replace the fan. I tried to keep some of the water out when I power washed this. But yeah, so anyway, I'll wait for those transmissions to dry up some, and then I'll wrestle this engine up onto this crazy stand. Look at this beast. What an animal. It isn't light. Ouch. So it's a real monster. But to hold up an inline six like this, I would imagine that it would have to be pretty stout. So I'm glad that I borrowed my buddy's instead of my 4-leg regular. You probably saw it with the 360 on it. I don't know if it would have held one of these. I'm not sure. I've never had an i6 on a stand before to work on it, so I don't know. Seems like it would be really nose heavy and put a lot of strain on the stand. But so I'm gonna get to clean it up a little bit, try to wash off some of my grime. I'm like filthy from spraying off the transmissions and stuff, so I'll do that and then come back when something cool happens. Okay, let me tell you how this torque converter comes off. Alright, so that plate right there, you'll see it is behind that flex plate. I don't remember if they're flywheels or flex plates, whatever. So there's these 4 bolt holes right there. A bolt comes through this side and attaches the torque converter right there. So there's the bolts. And then the flex plate, torque, or flex plate or flywheel. I don't know. I should know what the difference is. Excuse me. Bang. I've always called them flywheels, but apparently I'm not correct or whatever. So anyway, those bolts bolt onto the crank. And that's pretty much it. I think there's a crank position sensor holes there. And that's kind of about where I'm at. Interestingly, that, well, I guess I tipped it over and dumped some of that out. What was I going to say? I don't remember. Oh, this thing turns. So I probably can't do it now, but it spins around. So... and it sounds like there's compression. There is a tight spot on it. So I don't know if I'm shaking the camera because I'm so sore I can barely stand. But we do have a little bit of rust or something there on the freeze plug. But it does rotate. So I'm interested to see what's in there. I got these loosened up. I'm trying to find some grade 8 bolts. Looks like these are the size. They're just a little bit too long. So I have to find some bolts that'll fit, figure out the way to attach that, and then stick it on this stand, and then we'll flip it upside down and see what the dealio is with the rods and stuff. So if it's that I can get it to make a full revolution, which is interesting. I would have assumed that it would have locked in one spot when it came up and hit an open valve, or the rods, or I don't know why there's no oil pan on it. It's kind of weird. Oi, me old battery died. So anywho, what I was saying, which I'm sure I don't really need to say, is that I would have assumed that if it sat for a long time, that there could have been some rust up in one of the rings or up in one of the cylinders, and then rotating it around, it would have hit like whatever rust was up there, and kind of the rings would have scraped on it. But to be honest with you, it turned around pretty good, quite a ways. So it would have to be one cylinder that's kind of knackered. But we'll find out soon enough. Hopefully this one's good. I wish I had a run stand, because it would be awesome to be able to put all this stuff on there and try it all out first. But I did spray some WD-40 on the shafts and on the rear seals, so everywhere that water could have, where I pressure washed it, that water could have went in. I did spray some WD-40 all over that and got it really good inside the shafts and everything. So hopefully it's just doing what WD-40 is supposed to do, water displacement. So hopefully it pushed out whatever water is there. It won't flash rust or whatever. I guess I'll find out. I'm just going to wait for those to dry. I'm going to try to wrangle this thing on there without killing myself. And I shouldn't be out here with sandals on. Already one casualty on my toe from the old Hearst. But you know what? I just don't feel like going up to the house. Anyway, let's put it on. Alright, it's another day here in the half-ass garage. I don't know what to do anymore. So many projects, so little time. I still haven't even gotten to those springs. I did spray down the U-bolts on the other side here. Let those soak for a while. I managed to get this monster up on the stand last night. That was a chore. I'm glad I didn't film it, because this thing is zero fun to move. But I did manage to find some bolts that'll go through, and I hate that it's on an angle and it's kind of putting pressure on this. I don't have a way to shim that, and I don't have bolts that will fit this flange. So these work, those, I don't love it. So I don't exactly know how much these weigh. I guess I should look it up, but whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be fine. So let's lower it down, see how much this monster stand flexes under the weight of the 4-liter. All right, turning it like nothing. That's crazy. So yeah, she's pretty solid on there. Man, what a monster stand. So next thing to do, I'm gonna get this intake manifold off. I need to call and get a gasket for that. Make sure that I can get a gasket to replace this one. I probably don't need to. So I probably don't need to. It's got a couple of different, well, I guess this is rubber, so it's the same as that one. The one in the back looks the same. You know what? I probably don't even need to bother with that. Just make sure that this throttle body is the same, which I believe it is. And then I'll just, you know what? I don't even want to deal with it. So I'll just leave that alone and slam it on in. So this rotates. I think I might have told you that, though. Let's look underneath of it. This is the first time that I've actually seen it looked under here, is with you. I'll get a socket and stick on that crank, and we'll try to turn it over and see what happens. Right, so 19 millimeter is size of the crank bolt, balancer bolt, and it turns. It's a little sticky right there, some rust up in the cylinder. You might have heard it kind of scrape. Right there. I don't see anything ultra catastrophic in there, do you? I wonder what the deal is with it. Oh well, we'll figure it out. But no, I don't see anything ultra insane going on in there. So I wonder why. I mean, I haven't really done anything other than turn it over, but I mean, it spins all the way over, it doesn't hang up. So it's not like the piston is exploded and destroyed the cylinders, or I don't feel any weird knocking around or anything. I don't know, who knows? Maybe this is a decent core and will be rebuildable and everything will be good. Till then, we're just going to use this one. And I'll just put the torque converter on it. Probably should clean that up a little bit some. Put the torque converter on it. Swap out this plate. So I guess I need to check to see if those are torque to yield bolts. I don't think that they are, but I should probably check to make sure that you can use those flywheel bolts or whatever again. Then swap out this backing plate with wherever I put that other one. Don't know. Anyway, oh, there it is. So that one's good. And we'll be in business. Today, I don't know if I filmed it last time, but you might be able to see, we got the springs on. So there we go. Brand new springs, brand new hardware. These were zero fun to get out because the fuel tank is right there. So a little bit of heat, very carefully. There are way too many sparks for me to bring the camera under here and just stuff falling everywhere, but just a regular cutoff wheel. Zip the back bolt down, zip the front off, pulled it out, and then I cut the spring right here at the eye. There it is. So I cut that off and then I was able to just take a hammer and just punch it forward, and then the back part of the bolt would fall out because there's only about that much room between the tank and the frame. That fell out, and that was the hardest part. The back, easy peasy. And on my 8 3/4, it's in there. I think it needs to have clutches. Put in the posi, but that's for another day. So here is the old springs. You can see that they're just 3 leafs. The new one is 5, if you can see that. So quite a lot of change. See if well, it's kind of hard to see here, but it is a little bit stiffer, which is what I want, and it shouldn't wrap up the way that these did under load. So there should be a video up here. I think it's either going to be part of this one or it's another one, I don't remember, of me and my buddy Jay drilling the crank out for the 4-speed, wherever I put that, and balancing the crank. So you'll get to see that. Slow progress, but any progress is still progress. So today we're going to try, or over the next couple days, try to get this engine in that truck with one of these trans. I think I'm going to go with this one because the bell housing's better, and I don't really feel like removing that one and dealing with it. I don't know which one is better. They're all pretty much the same to me. I got new motor mounts. These are you know, the drive shaft seals right there. So I have new seals for the front and rear drive shaft. I didn't order any fancy dancy motor mounts. I just got the ones from O'Reilly's. This is regular parts store stuff, but they're different manufacturers. Excuse me. So basically I think they're about the same. This truck isn't going to see any extreme use, so I don't think there's really any reason for me to go with the trail rated, you know, whatever it is, the high-end motor mounts, because this is just a kind of goofing around light trail off-road truck. So I don't need anything fancy for it. This is the cross member, or the trans. Sorry. There we go. So this is the trans mount. We'll go right there. So this is that. There probably is one that's good enough on one of these transmissions. It was $30. I might take it back if any of the other ones look like they've been recently changed out and are still pretty decent. These, on the other hand, one of these is still good, which I'll show you, but one of them is most certainly not good. So that was the left motor mount, so it'd be the driver's side motor mount. That thing is smoked. So there's that. There's the other part of it in there. Excuse me. Doggone. All the dust. And then we'll take a walk over here and you'll see that that motor mount is actually pretty decent. Let me there we go. This one's pretty good, actually. It looks like, well, it's torn, so I guess it's not any good. I didn't see that. I thought it was like a line of grease, but well, that one's torn. So they're $18.99 a piece or something like that. So I'm just gonna replace them both, and we'll get to it. Hopefully everything goes relatively smooth. I don't expect that it will, because nothing ever really does, but you never know. So we'll get to it, and I'll film as much of it as I can. Oh yeah, on a side note, remember we turned this over and it seemed like it spun over okay, but no oil pan gasket looks like now falling down. So when I was over at my buddy's and we were drilling out that crank and balancing it and everything, I was like telling him about this engine, how it spun over pretty smooth. He said pull the head and check it, which might be the problem. One of those cylinders was pretty clean, so maybe it's got a cracked head or you know, bad head gasket. But then I told him, I was like, I don't have an oil pan. He just happened to have a brand new one. Well, pretty much brand new, sitting right there. So we've got an oil pan for the old girl. It's just a matter of when we can get around to, you know, tearing it apart and rebuilding it. I will pull the head, take it over to his place and magnaflux it, and see if we've got any, you know, if I can't see anything obvious with it. But that's a job for another day. We'll just try to get this thing in there. The question will be, put the trans on it and then the transfer case and try to tip it in, jack up the back maybe of the truck, Jeep. Can't call it a truck or I'll get killed in the comments. The Jeep. So jack up the back of the Jeep and then get a better angle to slide this and one of those into it. Other than that, I'd have to crawl around under there and monkey with the trans. So I don't know, it might be easier just to put all this in at once, but we'll see. I don't even know if this runs. I don't know if either one of those works. I don't have any idea. I don't even have a key for that, so I'll have to hotwire it. So that should be fun. I've never hotwired a car before. So anyway, that's it. We'll get to it. I've got the transmission stood up and draining into this pan, hopefully not draining all over the floor. It already did drain all over the floor once. Wasn't sure what how much fluid there was in there, and I didn't check it first. This mount looks pretty good. I think I'm just going to leave that for now and save the 30 bucks. The threads are still decent, all that, so I'm going to try to reuse this mount. And yeah, so anyway, got the seal out. The seal was torn. It's pretty bad shape, but everything else in there okay. So there's that. So the seals are over here somewhere. I think this is the front drive shaft seal. Nope, this is the rear. So if you need a part number, that's the part number for this seal. So to save the seal though, I'm going to wait to put this in until after I put it in the Jeep. So I don't want to risk damaging this flange. To save the seal, the lip, I'm just going to wait until the trans is in the Jeep, and then I'm just going to go ahead and tap it in with a little bit of sealer around the outside. Then I don't risk damaging this seal. I mean, it was like 20 bucks or something like that for the seal. So it's not ultra extreme, but I don't want to put any money into this that I don't have to. So got the engine all turned around. I'm just going to mate the trans up to it. This torque converter is all torqued down now, so we're good to go on that. I just kind of took a shot in the dark. I don't know if that trans is any better than this. I was just going off of this bell housing looks a little bit better, but other than that I have no idea how to even tell. I don't know if you can hear that, but the chain sounds like it's pretty tight in here. It doesn't sound like it's wasted or anything. Overall it's in decent shape. So just have to unplug everything and try to get it all put together, and hopefully I can get it in tomorrow probably. I don't think I can do it today. Tomorrow or the next day. So anyway, moving on.